Alright, it's time we talk about what's going on with DMZ. Why are the devs ignoring the player base? Why aren't we seeing the changes we have asked for since Season 1? In this video, I'm going to talk about the issues that have been plaguing DMZ and some potential fixes that could be implemented to make the game a better experience. If you agree with what I have to say, I challenge you to share this video with Activision and Infinity Ward on any social media they have. Maybe with enough support, we can make these changes happen. Also, make sure you hit the like on this video and sub if you haven't yet. I'm dedicated to helping you in DMZ and have playing with viewer streams every Friday. I've played DMZ since the very first day, put in many hours, and have dealt with all of these issues. And my main goal is helping out other players in the DMZ, so I would really appreciate your support. If there's other changes you want to see, other than what's mentioned in this video, comment below and let's try to get these changes we deserve. The first thing I want to talk about, and this is something that has been a problem for the longest time, they attempted to fix it with what they say new assimilation things, which obviously worked out horribly and they reversed the changes. But we're going to be talking about the 6-man teams. It's super easy to make a pre-made 6-man team. Really, all you need is to be on the same servers and you can very easily time getting into the game. This has been an issue since the beginning of DMZ. You get into a lobby and even before you get away from spawn, there's 6 people on you. It's especially rough on Ashika with a smaller map. A lot of people want assimilation removed, but I have another solution. Make it a timed based event. For instance, from the start of the game down to about 15 minutes, make it so that you can assimilate one person, so you can have a 4-person team. This is something that's still manageable for other players, so you can still fight a 4-man team. Once you hit the 5-minute mark, then you can assimilate 2 people. And then once the gas starts moving, you can assimilate a full 6-man squad, and that's so that you can have those end game final exfil fights that are epic that we see videos on all the time. This is just one of the ideas that I have for the 6-man teams. I've also seen people saying that you should just have assimilation up to 3, so if a solo goes in, then they can pick up a couple people. But I don't think that's really fair. If that solo ends up wiping out a team, they can only pick up 2 of the 3, and that kind of leaves 1 person out, which is why they have the 6-man assimilation. And I don't think they should completely remove it, but they should definitely make changes. The only other option really is to remove assimilation, but even without assimilation in the game, you're still going to have those people getting into the game together, since it is super easy to do if you are on the same servers. You could try applying handicaps to assimilation, such as marking them on the map, which was one suggestion, but what would happen if the team spread out? I think timed is the best way to go. You have a chance to get missions done and get out before teams get too big, and then as the game progresses further, it becomes more dangerous and there's more of a chance of running into those 6-man teams. The next big issue that we're going to talk about is the game crashes, weapons being lost on loading in, black screens, basically all of the various bugs that are in this game right now. And this list just continues. I understand the game needs to make money. What upsets me is that making money seems to be all that is cared about. They don't care about the player base. They don't care about all the bugs that are in here unless it's a completely game-breaking one or one that affects one of their bundles. We can't load in with weapons, or sometimes even into the game at all, but we have good old Snoop Dogg and the boys that we can buy. I feel the devs are hiding behind DMZ in beta while using all of us as unpaid game testers. Of course, if we were game testers, they might actually be listening to us. The only request I have here is that the devs focus on fixing the game and the issues that we have so that we can start enjoying it and not be frustrated just trying to load in. I see a lot of people complaining about the game just being PvP. Last season, they made missions way easier to complete. So now you have a ton of people with missions done, so what are they going to do? I really liked that they added passives into the game, and then loot that you have to go out and gather. It gave players another task in the game other than PvP. I'd like to see more weapon parts added, so things like the Heated Madness, where you have to go into Koschei and gather up 5 weapon parts. Maybe they should add a weapon like that to each of the maps. That would give players yet another way to do something other than PvP or something to go for. Another way you could maybe discourage PvP is adding a karma system. When you look at prox chat, maybe the red players are the ones that do PvP more, and green is more friendly. So something like that where you can notice that, hey, this person's probably going to kill me even if they're saying they're friendly. I think I'm going to go ahead and stealth my way out of here. It would be nice to see some dynamic weather on the maps too. Al Mazrah had a sandstorm that never moved and now hasn't been back. Vondel has some dynamic fog, but what about rain or wind? Why can't we have an epic thunderstorm or even a sandstorm that moves across the map? This would change the gameplay across the map and give you a different experience each game. You could also add in a day to night cycle so you have a use for MVGs outside of Koschei. Another thing I would be interested in seeing is a market outside DMZ raids. If you had keys you don't need, sell them on the market. Gold bars, gold skulls, GPUs, rare items like that, sell them on the market. In fact, while you're at it, lower down the amount of cash that you can find in game because there's just so much of it and there's not really much of a use. So it's extremely easy to have just an abundance of cash. And sometimes there's games where I'm running around with 250,000 because I have no use for it and my stash is completely full of money. So lower down the amount of money you get, add in a market where you can sell rare items that you find in game to other players that are possibly looking for them that have a really hard time finding them. The last thing I'd really like to discuss is the insured weapon slots. You can't really do anything about them at this point because you have 15-minute weapon bundles that people have bought. It would be way better if the insured weapon slots were gone from the game entirely. Instead of having insured weapons where you can just build them right at the screen and there's barely any penalty to losing them, you could have weapons that you modify in game, kind of like we have right now with the weapon modification station, and then you spend money in game to insure that weapon one time. So if you die, you end up getting that weapon back and that's it. After you die the second time, you lose that weapon forever and you have to rebuild it. It would make people a little more cautious when they do PvP because if you have the risk of losing that weapon that you spent time to build and get right, you're going to be a little more cautious about engaging a team instead of as of right now where you engage a team and it doesn't really matter that you lost your weapon because you can just load in with 200,000, get all of your weapons back, and then you're right back into the fight. There's no penalty right now with weapons, and that's part of why PvP is so crazy. There's just no consequence to doing PvP. Alright guys, so I just wanted to cover the main areas of the game that I thought were the main issues. I know that some of you may say that I'm just whining about the game, and maybe in a way I am. But I've played this game since the very beginning. I've seen all of the issues, I've seen the problems, and some of them have been there since Season 1. It's time that we start speaking out about these because it's getting to the point where I really want to play the game, I really want to enjoy the game, but the game doesn't even load in, or it gives me a black screen, or I load in without my weapon, and it just gets to be very frustrating trying to play a game that I do enjoy when it does work. And I know a lot of other people are like that too. So my goal is I'm going to start sharing this to Activision and Infinity Ward. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me for this video. I will see you guys Friday for playing with viewers. And if you've seen this video and you stopped by Friday, let me know what you think. And I will see you guys in game.